Hey guys, welcome to Pages with Sidra. Today we are going to start chapter 563 of I Have 90 Billion Licking Gold Coins. If you haven't watched the previous chapters, make sure to check them out on my channel. Now, without any delay, let's dive into the chapter. Woo woo woo. Grandmaster, is Chun Yuan really gone? Yao Qingtian had just woken up, tears welling in her eyes, her heart twisted in agony. Only after losing him did she realize how deeply Chun Yuan had embedded himself in her heart. Even when she had heard about senior brother Shiyan's tragic fate, she hadn't felt this level of despair. Chun Yuan was most likely killed in the explosion. The missile's power was far too overwhelming. Even a high-tier expert would be unable to survive such a violent bombardment. In this era, as technological weapons grow more advanced, it's no longer possible for individual strength alone to dominate the world. Personal strength is ultimately too limited, and the path to power far too difficult. Human strength has its limits. That Chun Yuan ended up like this was the result of his own choices. Qingtian, once I've recovered, I'll take you back to the Medicine King Valley. The secular world is too dangerous for someone like you. Cough. Cough. Xiantian medicine ancestor suddenly clutched his chest, coughing up a mouthful of blood. He was injured again. Back in the Medicine King Valley, he hadn't suffered a single injury in over 100 years. Who would have thought that just a few months after leaving the mountain, he'd already been seriously injured multiple times? Every time he recovered, someone else would come and beat him down again. Each time, he narrowly escaped death. Damn this world. It's too damn dangerous. It's still safer to lay low in the Medicine King Valley. Grandmaster, are you alright? Yao Qingtian asked anxiously, guilt written all over her face as she watched him cough up blood. I'm fine. Just a minor injury. Honestly, for us to even survive such a massive crisis is a miracle in itself. It's only now that I realize. Chun Yuan must have held back against me. With the power he showed back then, just one kick could have seriously injured me. But when he kicked me, I only suffered a light wound. He must have restrained at least half of his strength. That's why I was still able to break through the siege later. Otherwise, had I truly been gravely wounded, I might have ended up like the Arctic Wolf King and the Korean Sword Saint, surrounded and torn apart, with no chance of escape. To a seasoned master, it was obvious when an opponent went easy on you. Physically speaking, the medicine ancestor was nowhere near as robust as the Wolf King. Yet the Wolf King had been severely injured by just one of Chun Yuan's kicks, while he himself had gotten away with only minor damage. There was only one explanation. Chun Yuan had shown mercy. Grandmaster, do you finally believe me now? Woo woo woo. Yao Qingtian sobbed uncontrollably. It was bittersweet. Only now did her grandmaster finally see the truth, but it was already too late. Chun Yuan was gone. Yes, Qingtian, you were right. The strength Chun Yuan revealed far surpassed mine. A true top-tier powerhouse like him wouldn't need underhanded tricks to defeat me. Someone of that level wouldn't care about anyone else's opinions. When I ambushed him at the Chun clan manor, not only did I fail, I was seriously injured. Thinking back now, if Chun Yuan had truly wanted to kill me, there's no way I could have escaped. The medicine ancestor was genuinely stunned by Chun Yuan's strength. But more than that, it shattered all of his previous assumptions. Sadly, Chun Yuan had simply offended too many people. The tallest tree in the forest is the first to be struck down by the wind. Grandmaster, I want to go see him again. He was so powerful. What if there's a chance he survived? There's no chance. Even a high-tier expert wouldn't survive that. Let alone 10 missiles. Even one would have been enough. No matter how strong he was, his body was still made of flesh and blood. No one could walk away from that kind of firepower. Not even the slightest chance. Yao Qingtian's heart shattered. Her tears wouldn't stop flowing. None. Not even a sliver of hope, the medicine ancestor said, shaking his head. What is love, that it drives one to pledge life and death alike? He never imagined that in just under 2 months, Qingtian had already fallen for Chun Yuan this deeply. As someone who had lived a long life, he could see it clearly now. It was very likely that Chun Yuan had already defiled her. Meanwhile, across the ocean, United States, Skull Society headquarters. Inside a lavish, high-rise conference room, the leader of the Skull Society, Edward, the first chairman, was conducting a meeting with several senior council members and dozens of core officials. Everyone wore identical skull masks. This meeting was of the utmost importance. Their genetic modification program had finally made a major breakthrough. And now, Chairman Edward was ready to officially launch the Soldier Enhancement Program. Naturally, not everyone was on board. Chairman, I'm not against the enhancement project, but the genetic tech we currently have is still incomplete. Mass production will cause major side effects. The lifespan of these enhanced soldiers would be under 10 years. Some won't even last a year before their bodies collapse. Using death row inmates for testing is already pushing ethical boundaries. Rolling out full-scale production now would be extremely risky. I recommend we wait until the tech matures further. Senator Robert, I must oppose your opinion, one councilman countered. Genetic research is inherently slow and difficult. There are two current paths. The first is the perfect enhancement model. Its success rate is abysmal. Out of 1,000 test subjects, not even one may survive. The second is the defective enhancement model. Yes, it has side effects, but the combat strength it produces is unquestionable. As soldiers, dying for their country is their duty. Once they're on the battlefield, they'll die in combat before any side effects ever emerge. I support Chairman Edwards' proposal. So do I. Seconded. As the meeting carried on, Edwards' phone buzzed. He stepped aside and answered it. Chairman, the operation failed. What happened? Dongxian Medicine's Sovereign and Speaker Tina both escaped. A few others slipped away too. The rest, all wiped out. Hunter's voice trembled on the other end of the line. Edward was silent for a moment, but instead of anger, he remained eerily calm, composed from beginning to end. Reason. Only one word left his lips. No emotion. No blame. A man who had already transcended joy and sorrow. Chairman, we underestimated Dongxuan's strength. He might have reached tier. Edward asked. No, he might have surpassed tier. I understand. He hung up the phone. For the first time, this master tactician furrowed his brows. Looks like the plan must begin ahead of schedule. The next morning, in the presidential suite of Peninsula Hotel, Kimchi Nation, Chen Yuan lazily crawled out of bed and casually turned on the TV. As expected, there was not a single word about yesterday's incident. No reports, no leaks. People were still eating, drinking, partying like nothing ever happened. News channels were filled with celebrity gossip, scandals, affairs, paparazzi stories. There was zero mention of the Raptor fighter jet airstrike. Not even a whisper in international media. As for the financial crisis in Kimchi Nation, with support from U.S. capitalist magnate Catherine, the economic nosedive had finally begun to stabilize. Though hundreds of companies were still going bankrupt daily, the pace had slowed compared to last week. Meanwhile, Nie Chiozi and her team had started taking over half the major listed companies in the country. The Samsung conglomerate was struggling more than ever. At the same time, the Pangu 7 smartphone was sweeping across international markets like a tidal wave. Chen Yuan yawned, stretched, then got up to wash his face, brush his teeth, and relieve himself. Just as he was finishing up, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Someone rang the doorbell. Who is it? It's me, Tina. I brought you some breakfast. Chen Yuan opened the door to see Tina standing with two hotel staff pushing a massive breakfast cart. Enough food for 10 people. Sorry for disturbing your rest, senior. May I come in? Chen Yuan waved casually. Come in. So eager this early in the morning? He couldn't help but think. This woman's up to something, licking dog mode activated. I still preferred her cold, proud demeanor before. You need something? He asked. Senior, I heard you're returning to China tomorrow? Yeah. What? He took a bite of his sandwich. Truth was, he had only come to Kimchi Nation to throw off the Xiantian medicine ancestors' pursuit. His real goal? To win over Yao Qingtan. And with all his expensive gifts, kind gestures, and surprises, he had finally succeeded. He earned 300 reward points. Mission complete. Now that Yao Qingtan had been taken away by the ancestor, he wasn't interested in chasing her. Time to go home. He still had to attend university at Yinjing. Besides, tomorrow marked the official launch of the very first art school entrance exam for Tianmin Art Academy in Duntian New City. As the honorary first dean of the academy, how could he miss such a grand occasion? The news had already exploded online. Tourists were flooding to Duntian New City, over 500,000 more in just a few days. Most of them, fangirls hoping to catch a glimpse of President Yan. Even outdoor streamers from major platforms had rushed there to film live. Chen Yuan called Yu Ning Shuang, requesting she send a private jet to pick him up. Senior, Tina said cautiously, I want to follow you to China. May I? Chen Yuan's face turned cold. And why would I let you? You've offended me more than once. The fact that I haven't killed you is already mercy. What more do you want? Suddenly, his aura flared, unmistakably that of a supreme king. Tina froze in fear. Senior, I deeply regret my past behavior. I only hope you'll let me stay and serve by your side, to atone for my mistakes. Then thud. The breathtaking beauty dropped to her knees, trembling. Only someone like her, standing at the pinnacle of power, could truly understand how terrifying a 10th-tier powerhouse was. That idiot Edward? He had no clue what kind of being he had provoked. Chen Yuan stared down at her. Fine. If you insist, then follow. From today onward, you'll go by the name Anna and serve as my assistant. If you do well, maybe I'll grant you another chance at transformation. Tina shuddered with excitement. That was exactly what she had hoped for. Yesterday, on the battlefield, Chen Yuan had only touched her head, and her injuries instantly healed. Her strength had also skyrocketed. But the most shocking part? Her talent had evolved. She had nearly gone stiff from disbelief. She now revered Chen Yuan beyond words. If staying by his side meant she could gain such blessings again, she was willing to give everything. Thank you, Senior. Anna will serve you with all her heart. She looked up, shy and reserved. Golden hair, sapphire eyes, snow-white skin. A real-life doll, cute yet seductive, pure yet wild. A true temptress. But when Chen Yuan remembered she was 385 years old, any lingering fire in his chest was quickly doused. They say, older women are golden. 30 years older? Rule a kingdom. 300 years older? Hand over a divine pill. Where's my divine pill, lady? The next morning, Chen Yuan boarded his private jet and flew home. This time, he had a new assistant by his side. Golden-haired, blue-eyed, draped in black silk, Tina looked like the very definition of a top-tier goddess. What no one knew was that this woman owned tens of trillions in assets. 50 estates worldwide, 3,000 mansions, thousands of sports cars, hundreds of private jets. She owned shares in Morgan Bank, Swiss Bank, Citibank, and even held government bonds from over a dozen developed countries. She was literally drowning in wealth. If Chen Yuan hadn't possessed his own absurd 9 quadrillion licking gold points, even he might have felt inferior in front of her. That's it for today's chapter recap. If you enjoyed the breakdown, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with the latest manga, manhwa, and manhwa recaps. Got thoughts on today's chapter? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear your take on the story. Also, if you know other fans who were reading this manhwa but stopped because it got axed, share this video with them. The more support we get, the more motivation we'll have to keep making these videos. See you in the next one. Until then, keep turning the pages.